You know, the book of Revelation talks about this absolutely terrifying beast that rises up out of the sea. It's a symbol that has puzzled people for, well, centuries. So in this explainer, we're going to unpack one specific interpretation of this prophecy. We'll break down all those dense symbols into a really clear, step-by-step timeline.
In this one verse, this is what kicks off the whole profound mystery. John's vision describes this creature unlike anything else. It's powerful, it's terrifying, and it's coming right out of the sea. So what does it represent? Is it some ancient monster? A future kingdom? Well, that's the very puzzle we're setting out to solve together.
All right, so to crack this puzzle, here's our roadmap. First, we'll figure out what this beast from the sea actually is. Then we'll meet the other key players in this cosmic drama. After that, we'll put them on a historical timeline, trace the events of what's called the final week, and finally see how it all ends with the final judgment. Let's dive in.
Okay, so our investigation kicks off with the big one, the most prominent figure, the beast that comes up out of the sea. Now, in this particular interpretation, the sea isn't literal water. It actually symbolizes the world of nations, all the people. And this beast? It's seen as the ultimate political expression of that world.
So here's the thing, this isn't just one single creature, it's more like a composite monster, a fusion of different animals. And according to this view, each part represents a specific historical empire that dominated Israel. The leopard's body, that points to the speed of Greece. The bear's feet, the brute strength of Persia. And that lion's mouth, the authority of Babylon. And it's all built on the foundation of that fourth beast, which is identified as Rome.
Right, so this isn't just some ancient myth or a scary bedtime story. According to this interpretation, the beast is a symbol for a future global government. Think of it as a kind of super Rome that takes all the power and characteristics of those past empires and rolls them into one final dominant political system.
But, okay, let's move on, because this sea beast, it isn't acting alone, not by a long shot. To really get what's going on in the prophecy, we have to identify the entire cast of characters in this whole drama.
Okay, check this out. Here are the key players and their roles. You have the Scarlet Beast, that's the pure political power, the world government itself. Then there's the Whore of Babylon, which is seen as the religious power that at first controls the government. Now this is really important. The sea beast from that first vision we talked about, that's seen as the combination of these two, the political and the religious. And finally, you have the land beast, who is the false prophet, basically the enforcer for this powerful new entity.
So now that we know who the players are, we need to place them in history. See, the prophecy talks about 7 heads on the beast, and this interpretation views those heads as a succession of 7 world empires.
And these 7 heads are seen as 7 major empires that have controlled Israel throughout its history. It starts all the way back with Egypt, then Assyria, Babylon, Persia, Greece, and then, of course, Rome. The 7th king, the one the prophecy says hasn't come yet, is identified as that future world beast government we've been talking about.
But hang on, what about that detail of the head that was wounded but then healed? Well, this interpretation points directly at Rome. Think about it. The old Roman Empire fell, right? It was mortally wounded, but its influence, its systems, its laws, they never truly died out. The idea here is that this wound will be healed, and Rome will be revived as this incredibly powerful futuristic world beast government.
Now, this is where a really key distinction comes in. The prophecy then mentions an 8th king, but here's the twist. The 8th king isn't a totally new empire. It's actually the 7th king, that scarlet beast, the world government, but it's been transformed. It's what happens when that political government gets taken over by the religious power, the Whore of Babylon. That fusion, that's what creates the sea beast, the dominant power of the end times.
All right, so we've identified the players, we've got their historical context. Now it's time to look at the timeline of events. The prophecy lays out this climactic period called the final week, a 7-year period, and it's dominated by a 42-month reign of that sea beast.
And during this period, the land beast, the false prophet, really takes center stage. This guy is the ultimate enforcer. He's performing these incredible miracles, like making fire fall from the sky, all to deceive everyone on earth. He then orders them to create an idol to the sea beast and enforces the worship of that idol brutally. Anyone who refuses gets killed.
And this enforcement all leads to one of the most infamous symbols in the entire prophecy, the mark of the beast. We're talking about the number 666. Whether it's a literal mark, a name, or the number itself, it becomes absolutely essential for all commerce. Without it, you can't buy or sell anything. It's the ultimate tool for global economic and social control. Pretty scary stuff.
So this whole 7-year period is basically broken into two very distinct halves. In the first half, those first 42 months, the sea beast is in charge, and its main focus is persecuting the saints, the people who refuse to go along with it. But then everything changes. After 7 devastating plagues hit the earth, the entire dynamic shifts. The saints are taken away, the world is an absolute wreck, and the political beast, the scarlet beast, turns violently on the religious power it used to serve.
Yeah, this dramatic betrayal is what kicks off the final act. You've got the world reeling from the plagues, the religious power has been overthrown, and now the stage is set for the ultimate conclusion to this whole prophecy.
So why this sudden betrayal? Well, the interpretation is that after these plagues just devastate the planet, the world government realizes it was completely deceived by the religious power. All its promises were a lie. So filled with rage, they turn on their former master and just completely destroy her and her influence around the globe.
From there, the prophecy just hurtles toward its conclusion. The armies of the world all gather at a place called Armageddon for one final battle. But at that very moment, the Lord returns to earth. The beast, the world government, and the false prophet are captured. Both of them are cast alive into the lake of fire. And finally, their master, Satan, is bound in the abyss, and their reign of terror is over.
So, think about where we've been. We started with this cryptic vision of a monster coming out of the sea, and we've ended up with a super detailed prophetic timeline, full of global politics, religious power, and cosmic judgment. It's an incredibly complex and powerful story. And really, it leaves us all with the ultimate question, doesn't it? What does this interpretation of these ancient symbols mean for how we see the world today, and what might still be yet to come?